Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are going to be doing a lace frontal full sew in using this hair from Curlsqueen. They sent me 3 bundles of their water kinky curly texture in the length of 20, 22, and 24. This is the curl pattern. I have 3 bundles, and of course they sent me a lace frontal that was already pre-plugged, and I believe the lace is HD lace. Let's get started. All right, you guys. So starting off, this is my beautiful model, Miss Watching. Starting off with her braiding pattern going straight back. I didn't do too much of a smaller braids, medium size, ready to go with the ball cap method. Even though this is a glueless lace frontal, we still need the ball cap because we are using a lace and we want this sewing to look as natural as possible. All right, so once the stockings is dry, I went in here and took my pair of scissors and I cut off the extra stockings in front of her face. You guys know how the ball cap method work. If you are doing a glue frontal install, okay, but this is going to be glueless, but it's the same thing because it's a frontal. You need the stockings as the ball cap. Okay. Now, since it's a sewing, the next thing we're going to do is put a weaving net on because the back of the hair is going to be sewn with 3 bundles of hair. So I went in here, I put the weaving net on um, in the back. Using my thread and needle, I'm going to go around and sew the entire weaving net to her head. Now, once you have your base, which is your stocking, ball cap in the front, and your weaving net in the back, the first thing you want to do with this sew in frontal is you have to measure your elastic band. So to get the accurate elastic band measurements, you want to take your measuring tape and you want to measure the perimeters of your client's hair, and the tape should stop right at the temple. Now, whatever measurements you have, you want to take it down at least 3 to 4 inches less because you need the elastic band to be able to pull and stretch to snug the frontal in place. Now, this is a lace frontal sew-in. So the first thing we're going to do is frontal placement. We want to make sure we are placing the frontal directly to where it is, and there is a particular method that has to be done precisely for the frontal to stay in place. So first thing I do is place the frontal on my client's head, and I told her to hold it. Then I am going to make sure the frontal is centered in the middle of her hairline. Make sure each sides are equal when she go ahead and holds it. I am just making sure my placement and my measurements are right when it comes to the frontal. Now, once the placement of the frontal is accurate, I usually take like a chalk or a marker and I mark out the hairline. My reason of doing this is a glueless frontal and we want the frontal to stay in place. And the only way the frontal will stay in place is either you glue it down or you use an elastic band. The elastic band will be glueless. It will hold the frontal in place. But for you to have the frontal snug to the person's head, that it doesn't move or shift around, the elastic band has to be accurate and placed directly on the temples of the person's forehead. So once I have my marks down on the hair and on the frontal, it is time for me to sew the elastic band to the frontal. Now this is my elastic band. I went ahead and I cut it with my accurate measurements. Like I said, you always want to take it down at least 3 to 4 inches less, just so the elastic band can be able to pull and stretch after you attach it to the frontal. That is why your measurements have to be accurate when it comes to your elastic band placement. Next, we are going to sew the elastic band on the chalk line. We are going to make sure it is placing directly on the chalk line, and I'm going to take my needle and thread and I'm going to sew it down. Now, once I sew my elastic band in place, I usually go back and forth at least twice to make sure that the elastic band is sewn directly and is secure. I make sure I turn it just like it will go on my client's head. You want to make sure the elastic band is not twisted, and you don't want to sew it twisted, because if you make mistake and it was twisted, you will have to remove it and you might rip the frontal trying to cut the thread to remove it. So you want to position it in a way where it will go around the person's head without it being twisted. I'm going to take my thread and needle again and I'm going to sew down the other side. All right, so after attaching the elastic band to the frontal, this is how it should look. I'm going to take my Ruby Kisses foundation in the shade. I'm not sure of the shade, but it matches her skin tone. If anything, I will leave the shade in the description box. I'm going to cover the entire list with some foundation. Yes, I did went ahead and bleach the knots on this frontal. And the lace that Curlsqueen sent, the lace is already like a brownish, tannish lace. So it is a little bit easy to match her skin. The lace is very thin. I believe it's the HD lace. The lace is very thin. The hairline is pre-plucked already. And it is all around just a gorgeous frontal. It was very, very, very easy to work with. And I love it. Look at that. Perfect. Now I'm going to take more of the same foundation and put it on the stockings. Cover the stockings up just to make sure that ball cap is melting like her skin tone. Make sure I get rid of the white cast on the stockings. Now after covering the ball cap with foundation, this is how it should look. Now it's time for placing it on her head. Once I position it in the middle, I'm going to turn her around so you guys can see. This is where the elastic band comes in place. Just like if you was wearing a glueless wig, you need that elastic band to be in place. So this will act as your glueless secure adhesive. Okay, let's just call it that, your glueless secure adhesive. So your elastic band is positioned around the hairline and on top of the braids that goes around the ear part. And this is what I'm talking about when you talk about snug. You see that? You want to be able to pull and scratch the frontal, and it should be able to stay in place. All right, so once we have the lace frontal snug in the front, this is how your back is going to look. So we need to secure the back to be flat. The first thing, you want to pull your elastic band on top of a braid. Next, you want to ask the client to assist you with the lace. If your client do not hold the lace could shift going backwards once you start to sew the lace down. You want to pull the lace on top of the elastic band. Once you have the elastic band secure and the lace is on top, give a little slanted parting space, because you want to make sure the lace is going to be sewn directly on how the elastic band is slanted around your head. So once you have your parting space, then you want to take your thread and needle and start to sew. Make sure when you are sewing that you do not poke your clients. You don't want to hurt your clients with the needle. So to put the needle through the elastic band can be a little bit tough. So make sure you are taking your time to do it, and make sure that your client's head is secure and is not getting poked with needles, okay? But I'm just taking my thread and needle now, and I'm going to securely sew the lace frontal on top of the elastic band, on top of her braids, because this will keep the sides flat and the sides down. Make sure you pull and stretch the lace, because you don't want the lace being crooked or crumble up after you finish sewing. That's why you need your clients to assist you. Once you get that first row in place, I went ahead, I cut off the thread, and this is how secure the lace is now on the side. And you can see how smaller the band looks now. Now we're not going to leave it like that. We're going to do a second stitch now, but we're going to make sure that this second stitch is close to the band near her ear part. That's where we're going to part it at, because this will help the sides stays completely flat as long as the sewing is on her head with this frontal. Now, the exact same stitches we did on the first parting space, we're going to do the exact same stitches. I'm going to part the row just on a slanted part, but this time I'm going to make sure it's close to the elastic band at the tip of her ear, right behind her ear, just to make sure that this frontal lays down as flat as possible. All right, so once you have your lace sewn down to the elastic band on your second parting space, I'm going to go ahead and cut the needle and thread, and then I'm going to show you guys how this looks. Look at that when I lift it up. You see that? All that flabbing that was way up, no more. You just have that little part right there, which is going to get cut off anyway to show the ears. You cannot beat that. Now let's move on to the second part. Now we're going to do the same exact step to the next side of her head, okay? We're going to make sure she is holding the lace securely. We're going to make sure the lace is nicely pulled, just to make sure we don't have any crumble up lace on top of her head. Making sure the elastic band is securely under the lace and on top of a braid. Then we're going to use our thread and needle again and start to sew on our slanted parting space. Now that I'm done with my first row on the top, I'm going to go ahead and cut the thread and show you guys. You see how that looks? It's not flapping like before. It's secure and it's flatter. Now we're going to move down again to the second part, just like we did the first one, making sure we are sewing closely to the elastic band. Close to the elastic band on top of the braid, and it's close to your ear. That's where you're going to make your next slanted part and starts to sew the lace frontal down. Once that is secure, both sides are secure and in place now. You guys can see how flat that frontal looks. You just have that little piece flapping, and of course we're going to go ahead and cut that piece off. All right, now we have our both sides down. Our ear parts are nice and flat. We are going to move on to the middle parting space. This is a sew-in frontal, so we gotta make sure this frontal is not moving without glue. We got to make sure it's secure, it's in place, and it's not moving. Now for the middle part, you want to make sure you are not directly on a center braid, because just in case you want to wear your hair in the middle part, you don't want the thread to be sewn on the center braid. So I usually part slightly off the center part so that my parting space is not on the center, just in case my client wants to wear her frontal parted in the middle. So we're going to part this off, and then again we're going to take the thread and needle and we're going to start to sew it down. All right, now that I have my frontal stitched down completely on the sides and in the middle, it's time for me to sew the actual frontal down in the back. So this is how your frontal should look before you stitch the back down. It should be flat and secure already. You can see the different threads that I stitch in between. You can go ahead and add as many stitches as you want and as you please to keep the frontal in place. But I'm just going to take my thread and needle now, starting from the middle. I'm going to sew one side of the frontal down in the back, and then I'm going to move on to the frontal on the other side. Now for the rest of the video, I'm just going to fast forward this part just for the sake of time. The video is already long enough. But I'm just sewing down the frontal in the back, and I'm securing the frontal on the elastic band near the ears. And as you can see, I am allowing my clients to hold the frontal still in the front because I do not want the frontal to be shifted to the back. Alright, y'all. So after sewing the back of the frontal down, you can see how flat and secure that frontal looks from the back. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut my thread off, and we are ready to move on to cutting off the lace. Alright, so it's time to cut the lace. Get you a good lace if you want to do a sew in frontal, because look at that melt. You cannot even see the lace, and there is no glue on here. Okay, so come through with this lace Curlsqueen. Now, as for the ear part, I like to make sure I cut exactly around the ear and not straight across. This just helps that part of the ear lays flat, and it makes the size looks more natural. There is no glue, but it looks really, really flat, and it looks natural and seamless. Moving on to the other side, you want to cut exactly the same way, just shaping around her ear, just like her ear shape looks. You want to give that corner center part, just so you have the nice natural looking sideburns and baby hairs on that end. Alright, so this is your no glue frontal install pretty much. Okay, now that we secured the front on both ends, everything is nice and flat. We're going to cut the elastic band. We're not going to leave that elastic band tight on the person's head, giving them a headache or they cannot breathe. Okay, so I went ahead and I cut the elastic band off. And if you secure this on your client's head like it should, after you cut the elastic band, that frontal should not be shifting anywhere. Alright, so for the back of this sewing, for the time has been far spent, we are going to make this fast forward this part, but this is the beautiful 3 bundles I'm going to use from Curlsqueen here, and I'm just going to run through this part and sew the back part down. Alright, so running through this, I just wanted to share that the Curlsqueen bundles, their hair was a little bit extra full than most hair companies' curly hair. When I tell you I only use 2 bundles, I only use 2 bundles, and you can see how thick and full that hair looks even before I touch it. Okay, so I was only able to get 2 bundles, and I did not use the 3rd bundle at all. Okay, so yes, you will get away with 2 bundles if you want to use Curlsqueen's hairs to achieve this type of look. Alright, so this is your sew in. Okay, this is your curly sew in from Queen Curl's hair. I put the 2 bundles in, and this is how much hair you have. If you want that 5 big look, definitely you can rock it like this if you choose to. But she wanted it a little bit more team, so we're gonna add a little bit of water and conditioner, and then we're gonna give her a nice little side part for styling. Alright, once I have my side part, I went ahead and I used a little bit of spritz on the side part and a little bit around the hairline. And then, of course, I went ahead and pulled out some baby hair because she asked me for some baby hair. I used my wax stick with my hot comb, and I slicked down the hairline and the baby hair with the hot comb. Alright, so this is how the hair is looking already. Just beautiful. I did use my pair of tweezers and plucked out the parting space on the side, and then I just pluck out the hairline a little bit more. Now, using my pair of scissors, I went in here and I cut off the baby hairs some more just to make them shorter and make them more natural. Taking my baby curling iron, tiny curling iron, I am just curling the baby hair a little bit more so they are easier to work with once I start to style them. Alright, so to lay the baby hair down, I'm using some mousse and my edge brush, and I'm just going to slick all the baby hairs in the front down. Alright, after laying my baby hair down, all I did was took the elastic band and tied the baby hair down just so that it can dry and lays flat. There is no adhesive here, but we want our baby hair to be looking sleek. Alright, so once the baby hair was laid down, it was time to hydrate these curls because the curls was looking a little bit too dry, okay? So using my spray bottle of water with a little bit of conditioner in it, I'm using the Curlsqueen paddle brush that is sent with the hair. I am hydrating the curls and I am brushing the curls out. Now, after I hydrated these curls, can you see the curls? I think you guys can see the curls. When I tell you these curls look so luxurious and so moisturized, I couldn't get enough of it. It just looks so beautiful. Like the curls was popping, okay? All I used was water and some conditioner, and I put a little bit of curling gel on the top of it, and it was giving what it needed to give. And that's on period. Listen, I was loving the curls. Alright, I wanted to tuck it behind her ears, but the hair was so thick and full, so it wasn't staying. So I used some hairpins, like 3 hairpins, and I stick it on the side. Alright, you guys, so my baby hairs is all dry. I went there and took the band off. You can see how beautiful this natural looking sew in lace frontal looks, okay? I was so impressed with the curls from Curlsqueen. After the curls was dry, it was so bouncy and nice and movable, and it was nice and thick and full, as you guys can see, okay? So I was definitely in love with this Curlsqueen hair. Now, Curlsqueen did say their bundles are luxurious curls, and I'm telling you, these curls are definitely giving me luxurious vibe, okay? The curls was popping after they were dry, they were hydrated. They were just luscious looking, as you guys can see. The hair is thick. I only used 2 bundles on her hair. It's double wefted. It's just a beautiful curl. I did not have too much shedding with it. It just looks amazing on her. And like I said, this hair, this install, it's a glueless. There go your proof. You can lift this baby up. It's a glueless frontal sewing, but it's not going to move. It's not going to tussle and it's not going to shake, okay? And that's on period. I hope you guys enjoy this video. So I will leave all the links in the description box for Curlsqueen hair. If you guys want to check it out, I love the finished results. If you guys want to get this beautiful water kinky bundles, this luxury curls, I will leave all the links in the description box for you guys. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you all in my next video. Bye.